welcome to episode 4 of Take Action Podcast with Monte and Yura. We got some exciting news for you guys. We finally made it to Apple Podcasts after being reviewed for a week, like we have explicit content, but it's not. For Apple lovers, check us out on Apple Podcasts. If you prefer Android, we're on the Google Podcasts. We're also on Spotify, Stitcher, Radio Public, TuneIn, and Podchasers. So any service you guys prefer, we're basically there. I wanted to say thank you for all who listened to our previous episodes. We're almost up to 40 downloads on every episode, which is probably about 35 more downloads than I expected. Our fan base is growing. We even went international. We got one listener from UK. Hopefully he finished the whole podcast and got motivated. But yes, very exciting news for us, guys. And Monty, how are you?
I'm great, man. Just got done, did a little workout this morning, then went and worked on a flip house that I had to return a whole bunch of things in some stores. So I'm ready to roll, my man.
Nice. Well, we have another interesting guest today. Last week we had Billy Sims, and Billy was talking about systems and goals, system versus goals, and whoever worked for him, and overall happiness for him. So we have another interesting guest today. Today in our studio we have Brian Gajeski. Hopefully I didn't murder your last name.
You murdered it a little bit. It's Brian Gajeski. How about I intro this one?
Oh, okay, yes.
So we have Brian Gajeski on here. Brian has been extremely influential for me, not necessarily just him personally. I mean, he's been great, and I think we've grown to be, good friends now over the last 15 months, but the family that he's built, you've heard us talk about body fitness the last couple of weeks with Bill, and then the first episode where I really got my kickstart, and really it almost led to where we're at today with this podcast. But Brian, I want to introduce you, and people have heard about you, so welcome, man.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Fired up to be here. This is a pretty cool studio. I was impressed, and I'm honored to be one of the first guests, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Well, thanks again. And we just kind of whipped this studio together in my office, so it's just a cool office. We had a good platform to work off of. It's above, for all those who have never been to my house, it's above the garage, and it's a huge room. It's like 16 by 32, and it has everything a man needs in it, except for a bathroom.
Yeah, it's awesome man cave over here, and you can hide from your wife or shoot podcasts or do some work occasionally as well.
Mostly the doghouse. That's pretty much what it is. I just had to make it comfortable.
Well, thanks again for joining us, Brian. Brian has a little man cold, so we really appreciate you coming in here between being a little bit sick and your busy schedule.
I'm a baby when I'm sick.
Oh.
And most men can just own up to that.
Oh, we are the worst.
All right, we're not, like, when I'm sick, I need all the loving. like I'm such a baby, but I appreciate you guys still having me on.
Well, thanks for toughing it out, man. We'll get through this one. It's so funny because I'm such a wuss when it comes to colds, and I think all the guys listening can agree, and all the women will agree as well. I don't know one guy that can just tough through a cold without complaining about it or whining about it. And
no, we have one of our trainers, her, trainer Carrie. She's literally she's like a Superman, a superwoman,
right?
Of a mother. She'll have the flu, sinus infection, strep throat, and she'll be like, "Oh, I'm fine."
Yeah. And
I'll literally have a cold and be like, "I think I'm dying."
Maybe we've never given birth. That's why. So all right. So let's get into it a little bit here. So Brian, like I said, last 15 months I've been at BODE, but BODE's been around for a while, and everybody who goes there, anybody who's been to BODE for a period of time, knows that it's more than just a gym. It's a culture. It's a family. So let's talk about you. How did you get to that point of your beginning? Let's start college, or maybe even before that, where you developed that passion to create a place like that.
Yeah, I've never really been obsessed with working out. I mean, who really loves burpees? Who loves push-ups? I mean,
not me.
Yeah, most people don't enjoy them. I'm not obsessed with working out. I honestly have a passion for helping people, and fitness has been my vehicle to do so. Some people are doctors, some people are nurses, teachers. I use fitness as a vehicle, so I'm super passionate about helping people. I discovered that in college. Played college football at a small D3 school, and just better when my teammate had success than when I personally had success. Knowing that, hey, I was there helping him throughout his summer, conditioning, strength training, etc. Or hey, we watched film together, and I just found out, hey, it was more rewarding when I helped someone, get to a certain goal, or had a certain play, etc. So just kind of fell in love with helping people while I was at school, and then people just gravitated towards me in the weight room, just because of my daily habits, etc. So I remember being at school, and my friends' moms would text me and email me for like spring break workouts. So I was like at school writing them workouts to do in their living room or at the local gym that they're at.
Your friends' moms, huh?
Yeah, friends' moms. Like my sister-in-law, or soon-to-be sister-in-law. It was interesting. Like people gravitated towards me, although I was a marketing student. So I found out very shortly, like, hey, I don't want to sit in an office. That's not me. So, and I didn't want to switch majors. So when my friends would go in to turn in their like exercise science books, I would buy them from them.
Okay.
So like that's what I was studying throughout my college career, and I wouldn't change that for a minute. And then I've just really surrounded myself with successful people. One of my best friends owns a physical therapist. He's basically a physical therapist in San Diego, owns a business there. And then I have another best friend from college who trains pro athletes out in LA. Like I learned more in one conversation over coffee with them than people doing 4 years of studying in school and college. Yeah. So, like if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Right. Or you're on the podcast with me, one of the two. So where do you think that's rooted from? Do you think that, like that personality trait that you have of wanting other people to succeed, do you think that comes from, like, I know your dad's like a legendary youth coach in Green Bay. Where do you think that passion comes from? Or is it just how you were?
Yeah.
Because, your whole family's cool. Your brother's great. You're great. So, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think some of it stems from, my family, obviously, they've taught me the importance of family and looking out for each other, etc. My grandpa, literally, he wasn't the owner of Eileen's Candies, but he grew that thing to what it is. So he's just been so inspiring in my life. My grandfather, my father, my brother. So obviously that's instilled in me, but just coaches along the way. Yeah. Like I had a high school coach, Chris Whittick. The way he treated me with, compassion and patience, and he saw something in me that, before I ever saw it in myself. Mm-hmm. So I think just interacting with those type of people throughout your life, it's funny, you can go back and connect the dots, right?
Right.
You're like, but yeah, I don't really know. I've always been more of a sensitive kid. Yeah. So I think maybe that's where it comes from too. I just really enjoy helping people.
Cool, man. So let's get into, all right, so you got done with college. Obviously you have this passion, you have this ingrained quality about you. How did BODE come to be?
Yeah, for sure. I was personal training at a facility, and it was so expensive for someone to come work with us. It was literally like $240 a month for like 2 half-hour sessions a week.
It's crazy.
And I'm driving to these sessions just like, hey, how can I truly help someone in 30 minutes?
Right.
Twice a week. And they're paying like half of a mortgage.
Right.
And I'm like fresh out of school. I'm like
$240 a week. I mean,
Yeah.
that's $1,200 a month almost. That's crazy.
Or $240 a month.
Oh, $240.
But
Even
still,
it's still
that's
a lot.
half of a mortgage, right? To see a trainer 2 half-hour sessions a week. So, but people were doing it, and I didn't really believe in myself at that time yet. I was still fresh in the career. That a lot of my friends were like, "Hey, what are you doing? You're a marketing guy, right?"
Right.
So you had all the naysayers, etc. But what happened? I think people just could, when they would work out with me and we'd spend time together, they could sense like my compassion, that I truly want to help them, that they're the only person in the room at the time. So my schedule got insane, and I'm like, man, I'm helping someone, every 30 minutes. And it just got to a point where I could only help so many people in a day. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, hey, let's do the same thing in a group atmosphere. It'll be, more cost effective. And now, hey, you can only get so much from me. Right. I have my own issues.
Right.
Dude.
That's fair.
Right?
That's a fair statement.
Right. I have my own issues, and, there's some things that I can help people with. But, like, now you surround yourself with someone on your right, your left, you're in a group atmosphere, you're going to gain something from everyone in that group, right? So, like, now there's a union of people, right, that are looking out for you. And if you can keep that culture alive, I mean, you can really connect people. We can maybe get into some of the testimonials, but that's kind of how it started. It was me and another guy. We started in Pamperin Park. We didn't have insurance. We were charging like $10 a class, and literally would load up our truck with equipment, and we just started running these, what we called for marketing term, boot camp classes. But I don't even know if it was legal to do what we were doing. Like, we didn't
probably
talk to
didn't
the
have
village.
a special permit.
No, yeah, we didn't. Hopefully this doesn't come back. But we didn't talk to the village. We didn't have a special permit. Like,
Well, it was past 7 years, right?
Right, yeah.
I think you're good.
And no one get hurt. So.
Yeah. I should have talked to Billy Billy Sims before.
We'll loop back. He's got the recording. We'll run this past him before we put it up.
Yeah. So, it was totally probably illegal what we did, but sometimes you just have to take a risk when you believe in something, and jump all in. So that's how it kind of started.
Yeah, and one of the things that you guys might not know about Brian is, like, the theme of today, if you can't tell, is going to be passion. I mean, there's a lot of things about Brian where he's extremely passionate about, but this one area, and I think if you're going to take action on something in your life, it shouldn't be about money. I mean, money is going to come if you're passionate about something, you're willing to work for it. As I mentioned, last week or the week before, sometimes you got to eat shit for a while until you build that business up and you get things going. Brian, tell them what you were doing, while you were building. Where were you sleeping? What was going on there?
Yeah, I remember. Well, fast forward, we started in a small strip mall with BODE, joined up with my brother, and we started there. And eventually we were able to buy some land, put a building up, etc. And that, that's due to so many things. We just have such great people and staff there. It's such a team, but we could talk about that later. But... Yeah. I remember, we're building BODE, and people are like, oh, it must be nice. Yeah, it must be nice, right? I'm like literally living in a downtown studio apartment. I can see my fridge from my bed. And one night I Googled what crack smelled like, because I had this funny smell from my neighbor. But yeah, it's what you had to do. So I sold everything I had and downshifted to a studio. I sold my bed. Me and my ex-fiance, I'm just gonna be real in here. My ex-fiance were sleeping on a air mattress, and it would deflate during the night.
Oh,
so you just do what you have to do, right, to get there. But yeah, it was funny when literally we're building BODE, and I'm living in a studio apartment next to some questionable people. They're great people. I found the good in them, but they're enjoying some recreational things, which sometimes we all like to do. But
I don't know about crack.
But so it was interesting.
Well, you know what they say, I don't like drugs, but drugs like me. So, well, that's pretty amazing story, Brian. And you didn't give up. It's obviously not easy to open your business, but you guys kept trying. You sold your bed, you slept in an air mattress. I think all of us slept in an air mattress at the point in their life. But yes, I agree with you. The worst thing is when you wake up in the middle of the night and half of your body hanging out, there is no air.
Yeah, we've all been there.
And this is why we have you on the show tonight. So it's all about taking action and not giving up.
Yeah, for sure. And so, all right, so we got to that point. Now we got this awesome business. How many members do we? I call it we now because I'm part of the family,
you should
right?
be. Yeah, so, you said something before. You're like he. I'm like, no, it's we. Man.
Yeah, and it is. It's a we thing. Like you and Tim have built the culture you guys have created, but then all of the people you've brought in. Our trainers are so incredible.
Yeah.
You know, we have Michelle today. You know, train us this morning, and she's really good. She's new. She's a new trainer, but she's amazing. And you know, and we mentioned Carrie and Jen, and of course Brad. He's like the lifeblood and the energy of the whole thing, and you know there's so many other ones, but I mean it's So like, all right, so let's get into that. How do we create that culture? How did that build from just like a gym to a family?
Yeah, it really started with like the core members who were there from the start, from the park. You know, you got like Kurt and Chris. You have like Veronica, all these people who have been there since day one. It's like the way they treat people has really, and people like they've connected with so many people. Like it's great. I don't know how to put it into words to describe how they built BODE. Like everyone will come to me and be like, Brian or Tim, you guys did this, but it was like, if you met the core people who were there from day one, that's what this company is spread from. And it's funny how they attracted certain people. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's such a family. There's no egos. It's funny. Like, everyone wants you to do well. Everyone wants to everyone wants you to be successful, etc. But like, I'm in the business of connecting people too.
Yeah. It's genuine though.
Yeah.
Like, that's the crazy thing is like we're talking about this and obviously we're building it up. For you people in UK or anywhere else in the world that's listening, you don't know, you can't experience BODE unless you move to Green Bay and go work out there. So
it's funny, we've had a lot of people move and they're like, one girl moved back to LA and she's like, we need this here. We just need a positive environment where no one's judged, where everyone finds the good in you. They don't care what your political views are. They don't care what you did last night. It's really it's such a family, and
it's kind of like what Planet Fitness advertises, but with a family and actual workouts.
Yeah, we've never. There's so many companies across the U.S., especially gyms, that like they try to like push their members to be a certain person,
right?
But like it just naturally happens.
Yeah, everybody's themselves.
So like everyone's like slapping high fives, cheering each other on. It naturally happens. Not once will I be like, hey, make sure you're cheering your partner on.
Right.
No, it just naturally happens. Yeah. It's a positive environment. I really believe, obviously it stemmed from a great group of people, of members in the start, but my grandpa told me this years ago. He's like, hey, hire people that could steal your job.
That's great advice.
Surround yourself with people who could literally steal your job because they are going to make you better. Mm-hmm. And every trainer we brought in, they all have such unique qualities. It is unbelievable. And, each person, I just tell them, hey, don't try to be me. Don't try to be trainer, this trainer, that trainer. Just be yourself and own it, because we brought you in for your personality and how you treat people. And that's really what's brought BODE to the next level. And that's what's helped keep the culture that we initially started. And, it's pretty cool to just think of. I would put our trainers up against anyone in the U.S. When I travel, I go to gyms and I'm just like, I walk out of the place just like so happy with how our trainers treat people and just the way they go about their business. So,
and you talk about that. It's like my first workout, I remember, and he still works out with us 2-3 days a week. But he was so inviting as Eric Kaler,
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Apple Tree Archery. You need your bow tune, go to Apple Tree Archery. but he's amazing. And anyway, I remember that first day I went in there. I knew a couple of people, but I hadn't seen them in a few years. And you know, Eric just took me under his wing. You know, it's kind of hard. He's got to get on a step stool to do that, but he was great, and he's still there every day. And you know, I consider him a good workout buddy of mine now, and you know, somebody that we have our boys a body at 7 a.m. when we're done. We sit around and foam roll, or just sit on the foam rollers and have our protein shakes. But just that culture, and you know, some of my really good friends now over the last 15 months. You, Brad, I knew Brad for a long time, but Billy, Benny, Aaron, Ryan, all these guys have all, you know, I feel like they're all good friends of mine now, and you know, I look forward to seeing them every day, and that's that family that's been built.
And we all make each other better,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like that's the beauty in this group. You know, the way the fitness industry has gone, where you're seeing more of these fitness communities, is that you're gonna have people making each other better than just the trainer. Yeah. You know, like there's so many trainers out there that are like, hey, look at me type guys. I know everything. You should look and eat how I do. Well, I think I've had a little bit of success helping people because I am real. Like I love ice cream. I love beer. And I can relate with people. And, you know, it's not that, hey, I'm like, hey, look at me. Like I said, I have my own issues.
Right.
And you have your own issues. But we can help each other. So we're arm in arm versus, hey, this is me, this is how it should be done. Because some people, a lot of the members help me in relationships, etc. Like
you got
eating,
those are your issues.
You know, like right. Like I got a lot of issues, but they help me. I hopefully help them, and you know, it's unique.
Yeah, it's so unique. And what you and Tim have built, and the rest of our community is awesome, and it's so inviting, and you know, it's anybody can join. You show up the first day, you know, we're pushing each other to get better, and not in a way like, I think one thing to say about pushing each other to get better, I think a lot of it is by example. Like we're not sitting there being like, yo dude, you need to do like 10 more push-ups. You know, we're not broing like people like that. It's, you know, they'll see me, and you know, some days I'm throwing on a weight vest, not for me, you know, to just challenge myself, and hopefully I get somebody to do the extra 1% sometimes, you know, something like that.
Yeah, it's just a community about, you know, people having your back. You know, that's a strong, you know, in this world, just to have, you know people have your back. I mean, that's huge. Yeah. So.
And this is just great, Brian, because basically anybody can acquire a business and run into the ground if you don't know what you're doing, but you have chemistry, you have passion for helping people. So this is just wonderful. And I also heard about the other program that you do to help people. Even 2 years ago on the news and Action 2 News here in TV, I heard something about grit, if I call it correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. So Brian, you know, obviously I'm passionate about it. You've brought me into that as well. Let's talk about grit, because I think this is as much as we've talked about the BODE family, I think grit embodies what the BODE family is about, and the give back that goes on aside from us improving our health and our community and our personal. Let's talk about grit a little bit, because I love this program. We had had our session yesterday. And it's awesome.
This is really the reason I'm here. I'm a baby when I'm sick. I told you that before. But Monte really has helped me out a ton with the grit program. So I'm just so thankful for you, man.
Hey, man.
I appreciate it. You've really had some. You've grown some relationships with the kids, and it's super cool to see.
Yeah.
And what the grit program is, it's basically. And it wasn't my idea. This is why it's so cool that everything is stemmed from our members. A teacher, Sarah Morgan from Pulaski in the Outs. She's amazing.
She's awesome.
Teacher out there. I say adaptive kids, but do they still say special needs?
Special
teacher?
Needs, kids with differing ability. Yeah. I like how you say it, because some kids really, like some of the kids that are there, I don't know that I would classify as like special needs. I mean, they're just they have different abilities, and some are better than others, right? Yeah. So some kids are. I mean, these kids are all amazing.
Yeah.
Like some you go from from kids who have Down syndrome all the way to like high functioning autism and everything in between.
Yeah, and some are wheelchair bound.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah, so it really stemmed from her. She's like, hey, Brian, what if I brought my summer school kids over? I'm like, heck yeah, why not? So we ran them through a workout, and we continued to do it throughout the summer. And then another member, Jenny Mercier, she's like, we should do something with this. You know, and I don't really know how it all evolved, but I just know that it's really stemmed from the members once again. And then this program has really grown. So basically what it is we volunteer our time in our facility every Wednesday to 2 different school districts in town. And they bring over students with different ability levels. So we have the Bayport Howard Sormico School District brings over their grade school kids, their middle school and high school. And then Pulaski just does middle school and high school. And it's pretty cool. They come in, we bring them through a workout. These kids are amazing. They'll run through a wall if you ask them to.
Especially Daniel.
Yeah, and what's cool is, like, I think a lot of their phy-ed teachers have done a great job doing the same movements we do, planking, working with their stability, etc. But I think it's just good to get them on the bus in a different atmosphere, a little bit of music, colors, or away from school. You know, it's really turned into a pretty cool program for the kids. You know Cole, he's down 60 pounds.
He wants to play football next year.
Yeah. So these kids are moving better, and you know the real heroes are their teachers, and you know even more than that, their parents.
Yeah,
you know they're the real heroes, and if we can just help them out 1 hour a week, you know that's awesome.
I mean for you guys to open your facilities up, you know, see a bigger picture, because I think, you know, one of the stats that you brought up was, I think, something that, and this goes to your passion again in helping people, but the statistics on obesity with kids with differing abilities or special needs. What is the statistic on that?
I don't even know.
Did you just throw that off the wall one day? Or
did I ever?
I think you said like kids that have special needs are like 90% more likely to be obese or something like that.
I don't know. Maybe I'm losing track.
I don't know. It was like last December. It stuck with me. So I was like, damn. I'm like, all right. I'm in. You know, like, hey, you made it up for me. That was good.
Yeah, and I think it's tough as a parent for, you know, like I don't have kids, but I'm sure at the end of the day it's easy to just give someone an iPad. Yeah. You know, versus being like, hey, we're going to go work out together. Hey, we're going to go to the park. Like, it's different these days, you know? Like, we didn't have Fortnite growing up.
Yeah, man.
Like, that's your parents were like...
That's your big pet peeve right there, Fortnite.
I think that it's great. I think that kids can learn in so different, you know, a ton of different ways with the technology. But, like, I think it's got to be tough. So I think it's really cool with parents who've come to BODE and just have become more active in their life. And then it's really like their kids see that and, you know, et cetera. So their kids want to work out and the kids want to get moving. So it's much more than just losing weight. Yeah.
Such a huge confidence thing for sure.
And just like you mentioned, with technology these days, all of us, well, at least me, I grew up, I didn't have a cell phone until I was almost 21 years old. So all of us were active. We didn't have iPads. I had 5 channels on my TV when I was growing up, and it was mostly boring governmental programs. So we had to entertain ourselves. We'd go in the wood, play with the sticks, climb the trees, and we were much more active than, not to offend anybody, but we are a lot more active than most of the young people these days. Mm-hmm. So what you guys doing is just phenomenal, especially helping kids with different abilities. And it takes a lot of courage for those kids even to do so, because maybe some of them are embarrassed, some of them scared, but they go in, you provide them your gym, and they can be themselves without being bullied, without feeling embarrassed or being scared. So you guys...
Yeah, and I think that's amazing. One thing right there where you just mentioned, I don't think any of those kids are worried about what anybody else thinks about them. They aren't worried about that. They're there, and this is the reason, like, this is my selfish reason as to doing, you know, grit and volunteering now, is they're receptive to me and how they react to it, and they're always, well, except for a few kids, but they're almost always happy to see us, and they're excited that we're pushing them, and like it's truly like exactly how you would want to coach a high school team of kids that are regular, all of their attitudes are amazing. If you had a whole team of kids with those kind of attitudes, coaching would be the easiest job and the best, most rewarding job in the world.
Would you say working with grit is the most rewarding thing you've done?
Yeah, I mean, recently, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, I've done some stuff when I was younger, and just as part of community service when I was in high school and as a college athlete. But this is just for me, like that's like I'm getting that out of it now. Not anymore, because it's like at first you're like, and I know this is for a lot of people, you're almost scared to like put yourself out there, step into the gym with the kids, because it's the fear of unknown. I haven't worked with a lot of kids with differing abilities or special needs, and there's a stigma about it. But these kids are so amazing. They're so gentle. They're fun. They smile. They're so polite. And for me now, it's like that. I get that. I look forward to it every 2 weeks, and it's fulfilling on my end of things. But at the same time, I know, like, just seeing those kids smile and me being able to push them and joke with them, and it's taken a while for me to like get into it. But now that I know the kids, it's so much fun for me now. So selfishly, it's just a little bit rewarding and fun. Yeah,
you've done such an awesome job building relationships with them. It's really cool.
And they just want to be treated like everybody else.
Oh yeah. We don't. Hey, we got them doing burpees.
We got them doing burpees. Yesterday, Britt was laying on the ground, saying she was too tired and she was sweaty. I was like, "Get up, let's go. That's why we're here." And she's just, joking around about it. So, I mean, there's different. I think there's different emotional things that I can't relate to, and most people can't, because these kids don't know how to cope with certain things. But you deal with it and you move on. Some kids have emotional things where they're like screaming at the top of their lungs for 45 minutes while they're there, and it doesn't affect any of the other kids. It affects the teachers and me more, but it doesn't affect any of the kids. They're just doing their thing. Just, hey, let's keep focused. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, that's why I think the teachers and the aides that come are the real heroes.
Absolutely.
Like they deal.
We get an hour every week. They get every day.
And when they have a little bit of a meltdown, like, they're the ones helping with them, and they're the ones with the degrees, and they know exactly how to work with them. Like, hey, what we've done is our community has raised a ton of money, and we've gotten unique equipment like the Cortex for them to utilize, even the ski machines they use, especially with our wheelchair-bound kids from Howard Swamico. They utilize that, and that's really going back to our community, how they've really grown this program to what it is. So it's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So for any listeners out there, Brian, how can they donate to a program like this, or even, start a program like this?
Buy some houses from you.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm super thankful. Monte gives part of his paycheck to the GRIT program,
that's great.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
So
come to me, buy some houses. Some of it goes back towards me, not all of my paycheck. And that goes into something else I wanted to talk about today too, is just something called tithing. I learned about this through my brother, who was Corey, who was on a couple of weeks ago, and listening to successful people. And they come from more of a religious background. I'm not religious at all, so just putting that out there. I don't care what religion you are, just treat people good. And if there is a heaven, you'll go there. But at the end of the day, like, I am a big believer in karma, and what you give. Like, if you give a little, you get a lot back in return. And it doesn't necessarily mean monetarily, but, a lot of people used to do that with churches and other things like that, and that's really where it started. And I really took to that. It was like something that made a lot of sense to me, is like, okay, what can I give that's not going to be like giving 50% of my paycheck or 70% of my paycheck, but something that directly I can make sure that there's some sort of, I guess, not for me give back, but like, how can I make an impact outside of something other than myself, instead of just paying taxes on that money or doing something. So I started giving 5 to 10% of any commission check that I make, or anything like that, not because of tax purposes, but because I want to donate. And I do, I donate part of my check to GRIT. I'm working with another guy where we're going to give some back to the Hoorah Foundation with vets. My wife is big with animals, so we're going to do some things like that. So like whatever you can do to give back without, and you don't have to give anything back, give your time back, or do something, because it's gonna come back to you in the long run. What goes around comes around, and I believe that. Just like if you do something in a negative light, it's gonna come back to bite you in the ass. You do something positive, you're gonna get a return. It might not be today, might not be tomorrow, might be 20 years from now. You don't know. I might not be giving money to Grit at that time or anything else, but 20 years from now, maybe something will come back and it'll affect me in a positive way.
It's the law of attraction, man.
Right.
It's what you put into the universe.
Yeah.
Comes
exactly.
back.
It's energy, right?
Study Bob Proctor.
Yeah?
He's man.
That's Bob Proctor. All right. Yeah. So what's next, Brian? What you got BODE, we got Grit.
Oh man.
What's happening next?
Yeah, what's your next chapter? How are you gonna take some action here?
You guys are, right? Like, you're giving me a call to action. Normally, like, my good friend Gary Westerman, he'll end every meeting like, hey, what's your call to action? That's something I really like that he does. So you guys are putting that on me.
I mean,
we talked about
1%,
this. Money, I really want to donate some of our land back and start a program for adaptive students, a playground for adaptive kids.
Yep.
I think that'd be great. I think parents would have somewhere to bring the kids during the summer. It sucks in Wisconsin. Maybe we can enclose it if we get the right donor
or something.
Yeah. I think adaptive playground someday would be cool. I don't know what the insurance looks like on that. Maybe the village will cover it. I don't know.
Hey, maybe what we do is we just raise enough money where you don't have to worry about it and then cover insurance.
Yeah. That. I don't know. I like helping people, so I'm not. I always say no opportunity wasted. So try to say yes to a lot of things.
Yeah, cool.
I don't know. You can't duplicate the family at BODE. I'm telling you, this is so unique. People are like, hey, you should start one in Appleton, Milwaukee. You can't duplicate what is within those walls.
Right.
It's just stemmed from such caring and loving, patient people that I'm telling you cannot duplicate the people there.
By the way,
you
Howard Swamico is the only place like that in the world.
Yeah, literally.
No, I think you're right. I think you can, though. Like, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit like that, but it has to be in your own community. It has to be, for those who are listening who are into the personal training realm, who want that little bit of extra. You can hear Brian's passion. You can hear my passion on this. I mean, like I said, it's literally the last 15 months of my life has been a 180 from the direction I was going. And I've always been a good person. I was just lazy and made excuses for myself. And, I always wanted to do more. I just never really had that family to help do that. And everything that has gotten me to this point, to this day, started whatever that first day in May was when I started working out at BODE. And it wasn't like a overnight thing. It was just a gradual, my family there picked me up and got me there. And I have great people around me outside of BODE. I mean, there's a lot of successful people. I work for an amazing, organization called Next College Student Athlete, or NCSA, which is very similar in that way, although we're a little bit more on an island as remote specialists in my role. But in our core culture at NCSA is very similar to this. And so it's just it's something that you can duplicate, but it has to come from, you have to have the right leader, first of all. You have to have the right people that are next to the leader who are making that person better. And you got to throw out all your fucking egos and whatever anybody else thinks about you. Is like I think Gary Vee, I started watching some of his videos a couple years ago too, and I think the one thing that really stood out to me on the Gary Vee videos, of all the things that he's talked about, and he's got so many amazing one-liners and nuggets, and he can speak for hours and hours. The one thing is he talks about is, as soon as you stop caring what other people think of you, you'll basically be yourself at that point. And that's really like that video right there is like 30-second clip. Just watching him talk, that's what changed it. And then obviously around that time I joined BODE, and everything else has been really great for me. I
think the best advice I've ever gotten was from our buddy Scott Nichols. Super funny dude. He will make anybody laugh, but he's so generous and so caring. But this is for anyone out there who's like, hey, I mean, obviously you plugged into this for a reason. It's called Take Action, right? If you want to do more, you're planning to start a business or maybe a charity or whatever it is. Like, this is what Scott told me to do. He's like, make the decision and then manage that decision on a daily basis. So just make the decision right now in your head. You're going to do this, because most people are just going to be like, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready. Yep. Versus like, hey, I'm doing this. And then each day do a little bit of something. Yep. Manage it. all right, hey, today we're going to do this. Today I'm going to do that. You just manage it on a daily. I still don't have all the answers.
Never will.
You know, like today it was a shit show. Our microphone system broke. Like, you know, like my brother's sick. I'm sick. I'm a baby.
Michelle's new.
Yeah, new trainer. Like, you're never going to have all the answers, but make the decision and then manage it on a daily basis. Be a problem solver. You know, anybody can do it. It doesn't matter how smart you are.
Yeah, and
don't
be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
I think the only real failure is if you don't try.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And Brian, for our listeners, for example, somebody who lives in Green Bay here or in the surrounding areas, how we can find you?
Oh, for sure. Just walk in our door. No, just kidding. But you can go, our company's called BODE, BODE Central. So just Google us, BODE Central. We have a Facebook page. We have Instagram. You know, we don't on our website, bodecentral.com, we're not going to give you a ton of information. But what we do have is all of our class times. You're welcome to come to any time that fits your schedule best on that day. You get a week for free. Literally just walk through the doors, you know, make the decision, and then each day manage it. If you're not too sore, get through the doors, and I promise you're going to be welcomed by an amazing staff, and you're going to be welcomed by an amazing community that wants you to be more successful, not just on the scale, but in life too, or being a better parent, being a better husband, etc. So literally just Google us, find us, and just show up. You don't have
time.
Yeah, you do not have to like schedule an appointment. Just walk through those doors. And I know it's tough. Sometimes it can be intimidating. Mm-hmm. Maybe you haven't worked out in 3 years. Maybe you haven't worked out in 40 years.
Like 15 years.
Yeah, it's for all ability levels. I mean, we got a dude, Cody's killing. He's wheelchair bound.
Yeah.
Comes Tuesday, Thursdays. He's a beast. So it's for all ability levels. And some other companies out there, you have to reserve a spot. You have to sign up each day. Here we're all about flexibility. So if you can come, we know your schedules are crazy with kids soccer and baseball, whatever. But if you can come, just show up. So
yeah, and I think the other thing that's nice too, a lot of people don't know, is I've been I used to do a different boot camp, and they were good. I mean, they were all right. I mean, it wasn't like I had a bad experience with them or anything. It just wasn't my thing. But you're also not limited in the amount of times you can work out. Like, that's the coolest part about it is you go 6 days a week, because they don't do it on Sundays, but you can go 6 days a week and you're not stuck to a package or clocking in on a barcode. They aren't taking attendance. You show up and work out and have fun and high five, and that's the best part.
Okay, Brian, we get into one of our favorite parts of a podcast. If you have any questions for me and Monty today.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me on here. It doesn't have to be a sales pitch to BODE, you know what I'm saying? I hope you guys got something from that, maybe about what we talked about, you know, making the decision, managing on a daily basis, etc. I think one thing that's funny that happens at the gym a lot, we have a lot of like high school, college kids who work at our shake bar, and they always say like they're always so upset with what their parents are saying or doing, and they're, you know, and I always tell them like someday you're gonna realize that everything your parents are telling you is right. Like, can you guys think back? You know, like, I don't know your upbringing, Yuri, but can you think back of something that your parents told you back in the day that you did not think was the right answer, and then like fast forward, you're like, dude, that was right. Because that's happened like a ton of times. Like, I did not want to listen to my dad.
I think every teenager. I just talked to a kid last night about that. But Yuri, go ahead.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it takes a long time for us to realize, you know, move out of a house or have your own kids. And that's where it happened for me. When I was growing up, my parents were pretty strict. I had curfew. I didn't have any sleepover. So it was like literally needed to make an appointment to do fun things. But after I had kids and I was thinking all of those parents were telling me, I'm like, oh, they actually were right.
Yeah, and
I'm gonna believe it, they were caring about me. So yeah, guys, don't get pissed at your parents. If they do something, they probably do it for your own sake.
Most parents.
Yes.
Say most. We can't say all parents, because there's some questionable ones out there, but. Most parents. For me, and my mom and dad have been great, you know, my whole life. There's very few slip-ups that, you know, I was always the good one, and my mom will tell everybody this. Like, I was so scared to, like, mess up or do anything wrong or take a risk, and it took me a long time. I think that part of that was ingrained into me as to maybe why I'm like I almost feel like I'm rebelling by starting my own businesses or, doing other things like that. Because my parents are 40-hour a week. You're going to work for 40 years, and that's just what you're going to be. And and you're comfortable.
Little watch.
Right. And for some people, that's okay. Like that's their comfort zone.
Yeah. That's
where they're happy, and that's what's most important is, obviously happiness. But for me, it's always a different way. So that's one area where I actually disagree with my parents. But on a different thing, I just remember I use this story all the time with the kids that I'm teaching about recruiting. And we're going to do a recruiting episode here in a couple of weeks. But so for anybody listening, I have 10 years of college recruiting experience. So we're going to do that in a couple of weeks. So tune in for that one. But the one thing I was talking about was my dad and I was 16 years old. Trying to take, we used to have to put these stickers on our garbage bags because we lived out in the country, and they charged us like 50 cents a sticker for all the garbage bags. So my dad was like, let's load everything into this one garbage bag, and we only have to use one sticker. And it was a little bit bigger than the allotted. It was really weird. So anyway, so him and I start arguing. I don't even know what it ended up being. So anyway, I called him stupid and a bunch of names, and that, hey, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And he's like, oh, we'll see about that. We'll see about that. And so my words as we left that argument were, Dad, when I'm 23 years old, I'm going to move home. I'm going to be rich. You guys, I'll have my degree, and you won't be able to say anything about this. Well, so I drop out of college, 22 and a half years old. So go home. And my buddies and I wanted to get an apartment in Green Bay. And I had enough money for my first month's rent, but I didn't have enough for security deposit. So of course I pull into the driveway at my parents' house, go in the house, ask my dad, like, hey, you think I get some money for a security deposit? Now this is after they gave me $3,000 for like groceries and other things during college too. They didn't pay for my college, which was a smart move because I didn't finish. But he just got this smirk on his face. And I know that he instantly flashed back like 6.5 years to that argument because I did. And I already knew what was coming in the next words that were coming out of his mouth. My dad's a pretty candid dude. And I go, Dad, can I get $400 for a security deposit? I figured he was going to go ask your mother because she controls the money in the house. And no, he just kind of smirked at me with this funny smile. I'll never forget it. He goes, go get your shit out of your car and move back into your room. I'm not giving you money for nothing. Who's the dumb one now?
Yeah, everyone like, I told you so.
And what? I didn't even have anything. I just kind of smirked, tucked my tail between my legs, went and got my shit out of my car, as my dad said, and went into my bedroom and did that. So yeah, that was where I realized adults have a lot more knowledge than 16-year-olds at that point. So it's good that I was ambitious, but I was also very wrong. So, well, cool, guys. Well, that pretty much wraps up today. Again, Brian, thanks so much for jumping on. It was awesome. And again, guys, this wasn't a plug for BODE, although it seemed like it was because
that's who I am.
That's who we are. That's our family and what we do. But also, if you listen to Brian's whys throughout and mine too, is just the passion that we have for that culture. That's what you need, that mindset you need to take if you're building a business, whatever it is, whether it's, starting a Dunder Mifflin paper company or starting a gym or whatever, a real estate investment company like I've done, or, whatever. If you're flipping things on eBay, stuff, whatever it is, be passionate about it and have a reason why you're doing it and incorporate that passion in, because that's contagious. That's how you build a foundation, you build a culture, and that's healthier than the alternative of doing it for money, and that's the only reason why you're doing it. Money's important. We all know that has to happen. As you guys heard from my brother Corey a couple of weeks ago, you have to have that, but also you need to have that passion behind it in order to make that business grow the way that it needs to be. So Yuri, I'll toss it over to you to wrap us up.
Hold on one sec. I know you guys can't see this, everyone listening, but there's a weight bench up here. And Yuri's been so motivated. He's been freaking repping out bicep curls. Yeah. I'm like, dude, what's your call to action? He's just flexing at me.
He's flexing.
Well, yeah. When Billy was here last week, we brought up taking down a Chuck Norris. So that's my next project.
Yeah.
I'm waiting until he gets a little bit older.
Well, he's gonna be, Chuck Norris isn't gonna die, so he's Chuck Norris. So again, Monte here. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian, for joining us. I know it's not fun having a man cold. We all know that. And for all who listen to us today, thank you, guys. We're gonna keep doing this. Next week, we're gonna try to bring another interesting guest. So give us your feedback. Listen to our podcast. As I mentioned before, we are now officially on Apple Podcasts, have Spotify, Google Podcasts, so check us out. We finally figured out the best time to put podcast online, and it will be every Monday. I'll try to do it right away early in the morning. And check out our Facebook page. It's Take Action Podcast MY. We also recently got an Instagram. It has the same name, Take Action Podcast MY. And thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week, guys.
Boom.
Done.